are so many different ways you can help support this show.
Get matched today with the tax expert who's just right for your situation. They'll do your taxes.
In terms, in the eyes of the law, he's a criminal. He broke the law. He broke the confidence. He was under security obligation. And then when he ran away to all of the worst villains in the world from the US perspective to basically seek protection. That's how you act in the face of accusation is in essence part of the case that you build for yourself. So running away to China, Russia, Cuba, there was a Latin Ecuador, I think. That just paints a very negative picture that does not suggest that you were doing anything that was ethical and upright and in favor of the American people if you're going to run to American enemies to support yourself. So for sure, in the eyes of the law, he's a criminal. In the eyes of a group of people who are largely ignorant to what they lost, to them, he's a hero. To me, he's just kind of a sad case. I personally look at Snowden as a sad, unfortunate case. His life is ruined. His family name is tarnished. He's forever going to be a desperate pawn. And that's all because of the decisions that he made and the order that he made them.
I'm not sure his name is tarnished. I think the case you're making is a difficult case to make. And so I think his name represents fighting one man. It's like Tiananmen Square standing before the tank. It's like one man fighting the government. And I think that there is some aspect to which, taking that case aside, that is the American spirit, which is hold the powerful accountable. So whenever there's somebody in power, one individual can change, one
man can make a difference.
Can make a difference, yeah.
Very Knight Rider of you.
Well, I mean, that's the American individualism. And so he represents that. And I think there's a huge skepticism against large federal institutions. And I think if you look at the long arc of history, that actually is a forcing function for the institutions to behave their best. So basically hold them accountable.
If what's nice about this is that we can agree to disagree, and history will be the one that decides. But once, like, there's a reason that Edward Snowden needs to do something new every 16 or 18 months to remain relevant, right? Because if he didn't, he would just be forgotten. Because he was not a maverick who changed history for the better. He was a man who broke a law, and now he's on the run. And to some people, he is a hero. To other people, he is a criminal. But to the vast majority, he's just a blip on a radar of their everyday life that really.
Ever wondered why you should get an LLC with a third party when you can do it all by yourself? Yeah, of course. Those companies want to make a profit. And this is the beauty of Taylor Brands. They are transparent.
I think Scopa is a potential candidate for the man marked by flame. Scar on his face kinda resembles a flame, so this could be true, and it does kinda resemble a flame, but I'm not necessarily convinced with what we've seen so far. Again, what I will grant is that Scopa does have quite the unique scar that does have curvature consistent with depictions of flames. So look, for fun, let's preemptively tick that one box off, but the issue is that we still need two other huge criteria to be met, one of which is that the man marked by flames is said to sail on a pure black ship, and the other is the ability to conjure strange weather phenomena that stops anyone else getting close to the ship. But look, if I wanted to make the case that it was Scopa, then it would be that after Roger was executed, or after Roger disbanded the crew, Scopa may have taken the R. Jackson, or another ship, perhaps a black ship, to Fishman Island to pick up that road poneglyph and ensure that it would be protected for the next 24 years before the man who inherited Roger's will would be ready to make use of it. And given how much he loves exploring, Scopa could be in a permanent state of sailing around the world. Hence why we saw him catching up with Crocus, but always making time time to stop in on Elbaf and see his family and such, which would also go on to explain why he may not have been present during the whole Loki situation. Although I have to say, at the moment, I think the dragon is still the stronger candidate because no, he doesn't have the flame marks, at least not that we've seen. Who knows what's happening under that cloak, but he does have the full black ship, the Wind Grandma, and demonstrable access to weather-altering abilities. So mathematically, that is a mighty 2 points in favor of Dragon and just 1 in favor of Scopper at the moment. But I am very, very open to it being Scopper as well. And having brought up interestingly shaped sort of scar marks, I didn't notice this the first, second, or even third time I read the chapter, but within the ruins of Ortus Castle, the site of the battle between King Harold, Loki, Jarl, and the 100 giant dudes, there is a very familiar slash mark on the wall which is very, very Shanks. Or I guess very, very Blackbeard because he's the one who made the scar. And I know that this likely has no connection to that situation at all, but it is a very interesting mark, untypical of what a giant would conjure. So to me, it points to one of 2 possibilities. One is that the assault on Ortus Castle featured Loki's animal friends who did a bit of a rah, but the other possibility is that this may be a hint towards Loki's devil fruit being a Zoan, perhaps initially suspected by many a Fenrir wolf-style Zoan fruit. And it was Loki who made this mark. The Mountain Eater is only one of his epithets. He's also known as the Canyon Filler, the Mountain Penetrator, the Cave Dweller, the Cave Painter, the Love Juice Swimmer, the Spelunker, etc. He is a legendary man. Alright, so I was okay with everything before and after Love Juice Swimmer. Anyone else feeling major Master Roshi vibes from Gaban? Beard, Hawaiian shirt, sunglasses, and eccentric as heck? Pretty cool guy. I definitely get Master Roshi vibes from him, and I think this makes a lot of sense because Eiichiro Oda's favorite manga is Dragon Ball. There's a huge amount of inspiration from that that's been put into One Piece. And in an interview, Oda stated that he fell in love with Dragon Ball specifically after reading Chapter 2, which is an interesting choice, as it's a chapter solely dedicated to pervy gags involving Bulma bathing and Goku discovering a vagina for the first time. But Dragon Ball aside, I also see a lot of Jiraiya in Scopogaban as well, a lot of which comes from the kabuki pose that Gaban strikes, which when combined with his other aspects does really take me back to Naruto. But this pose in world is probably influenced by Gaban's time with Kozuki Oden. Oden would always joke around with stuff like his born to be boiled line, and then after doing so he'd always smash out a pose. So I'd like to think that Gaban's been influenced by the legacy of another old friend, because Copacabana and Oden do have a much stronger bond in filler material, as in the anime when the Roger Pirates fought against the Whitebeard Pirates, Copacabana was Kozuki Oden's opponent, and there was also some filler where Oden, Gaban, Shanks, and Buggy have a mild adventure in Mocktown, which is pretty fun. I really like stuff like that, because one of the most common complaints we get about One Piece is that there's not enough downtime, there's not enough fun with the Straw Hats, which is fair enough. And some of the stuff I enjoyed most in the Oden flashback was seeing the Roger Pirates and Whitebeard Pirates just screwing around when they're not at the epicenter of history-changing events. So as much as I want more of the Straw Hats having fun, I'm also very greedy and I want more of everyone else having fun as well. When One Piece is over, what I would love is a Roger and or Whitebeard prequel manga, just to spend more time with those crews. Having brought up Oden though, we should address the insane fact that Scopper Gaban himself has been to Wano. And as a proud explorer, yes, it does make all the sense in the world for him to want to go to that isolated location. So I guess that's where he got his Wano clothing, although it's a bit awkward. The idea that Scopper Gaban went to Wano, saw all of the suffering caused by Kaido, and did nothing. Unless he went way long ago before the whole Oden situation happened. But with what we know, it seems more likely that Gaban visited after the Roger Pirates were disbanded, and he makes it sound like he had a great time. And look, I get it, Scopper Gaban on his own probably can't take down Kaido and the entire army of the Beast Pirates. It took a massive alliance to bring him down in the end. But I'd love to know what Gaban actually did there, because when we were there wasn't a whole lot to do except go sightseeing in the wastelands and count the weapons factories. But I suppose he could have spent that time trying to discover some sort of award-winning flavor, which we've just so happened to find with the sponsor of today's video, Fume. A superb some-flavored air device that is not a vape, contains no nicotine, uses no batteries. In fact, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. I always have one of these on my assorted desk because they're very fun to fidget with. And every now and then you just got to have a bit of that sweet flavor, which on this extremely rare occasion is not orange vanilla because I've run out of that. So today it's all about making way for grapefruit. But other flavors are available, such as the black licorice core, for those moments when your day needs the exciting darkness of a to storm on in and create an incident of global proportions. Perfume are also backed by doctors in the US and continuously invest in third-party studies to ensure the safety of their products. And Fume have now served over 300,000 customers, including me, and you can be another by clicking my link in the description. And if you order the Journey Pack, which is pretty cool and you should, then you can use my code GRANDLINEREVIEW to get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Highly recommended, especially because it's free. So just go to tryfume.com/GrandLineReview or scan the QR code on screen. And thank you so much to Fume because it's their sponsorship that allows us to bring you the best fictional pirate content possible as often as possible. So definitely try them out, but for now it's back to you, me. That mountain hospital Scopper took Roger to was possibly Kureha's. So this would be really fun because we are still waiting for that Kureha-Roger connection to be revealed to us. As long ago, it was actually Dr. Kureha who first stated Roger's real name. She was the first person to refer to him as Gold D. Roger instead of Gold Roger, meaning that she didn't just follow Roger by the newspaper articles that misprinted his name. No, Kureha probably met him, as she was also the first person to directly mention the Will of D. And this would also result in another cool parallel between Roger and Luffy. Luffy had to take Nami to Drum Island to get her healed, and Scopper Gaban may have needed to take Roger there to get some injuries fixed. That or look at his disease. And this would be the place to go because remember that Drum Island pre-Warpol was considered one of, if not the most medically advanced nation in the entire Grand Line. So there's no better place to take Roger, although at the time it should be said that Dr. Kureha was not living in the castle on top of the Drum Rocky, but those are not the only mountains on Drum Island. We don't really register it because the Rockies are the main focal point, but if you look slightly below that, there are snowy mountains everywhere. And in Chopper's flashback, we see that Kureha was living deep in a wilderness in this lovely little tree house, and depending on how long ago Roger may or may not have been taken there, all of the trees and stuff could have grown back by the time that Chopper came around because Scopper Gaban was set to just level the entire area. But I am liking this idea quite a bit. And you know what? It could also potentially explain where Kureha picked up her axe-throwing abilities, which would be from watching Scopper Gaban at work. Colin having two parents alive living on the same island with him has me feeling deeply concerned. Alright, I get what you mean, and I don't know who I should feel more concerned for, because Ripley and Scopper Gaban are both in very narratively unsafe spots. Due to having pumped out Spawn, Ripley is now subject to the One Piece mother curse. Being a mother is by far the most dangerous profession in all of fictional Pirateland. They just don't seem to last very long. And in Loki's case, the idea of a curse seems quite literal. He was born and a year later his mother died because she had a child. However, Scopper Gaban also has a curse. He has the curse of being an old mentor. He's an old man who's had his time in this world with something of importance to pass on to the next generation before he promptly passes on. And I guess the question becomes, whose curse is stronger? Does the mother curse outweigh the wise old mentor curse? Or do they both activate and Colin goes on to become a proper shonen orphan, ready to become the protagonist of his own Colin manga? The flags are all there, but if I had to guess, I can't see Oda killing Ripley outside of a flashback, so she might be safe. Meanwhile, Scopper Gaban is a maybe. I would really like him to stay alive, at least for the final war, just because I would love to see a reunion between him and Rayleigh, and to see the wings of the previous Pirate King help to launch the new Pirate King. But while we're here, we should point out that Scopper is very much following in the pattern of the Roger Pirates, which is that each of them seem to have gone on to live very flood-proof lifestyles. Crocus lives inside a whale, Rayleigh took up ship coating so he can sail underwater, and now Scopper Gaban is living on the tallest island possible that I guess isn't a sky island. Although, actually I wonder how tall Elbaf is. It might reach Sky Island heights. I am annoyed by colon being pronounced.
My mom used to tell me, if you want to be a champion, you gotta be a champion.